5 years ago, I was noticeably overweight, and this caused me to miss out on parties, experiences, maybe even some friends. But today, I have overcome every single one of these hurdles. I'm on track to make $30,000 this month. I have an amazing girlfriend, and I'm traveling the world. And this all only happened because I got in great shape. In this video, I'll share my story and how starting with the gym changed my life. Quite often, I think about how I felt when I was growing up. When I was a freshman in high school, I was probably around 14, 15 years old, and I had no confidence in myself. I was super insecure. I was anxious, not only just with myself, but I was anxious around girls, especially any type of social events. And this only got worse when I was playing a football game and I actually broke my ankle. After that, I actually went into this cycle of not exercising at all, not moving, and I probably ended up gaining around 30 to 40 pounds, which caused the way I felt to compound. I remember this moment. It was my 8th grade graduation, for example, and as we were taking photos with our diplomas, what I actually did was hold the picture, hold like the certificate up here near my face. And the reason why is because I was literally trying to cover my chin because I was so insecure about having like this fat on my face. I thought it looked terrible, and I was so young. And I think that created a little bit of this insecurity with myself. I'm sure you know, when you go into high school, you know, that first year is when you meet a lot of the friends that you'll probably continue to be friends with throughout the entire experience of high school. And for me, I felt like I missed out on quite a bit of those experiences just because I was a little anxious to go out. You know, I felt nervous. I didn't feel too confident in myself, which took away from tons of things. I always felt a little awkward around girls, and whenever my insecure self did go and try to talk to them, I pretty much got friend zoned a lot of the time. And that stayed pretty consistent until COVID actually hit. I'll be honest, I can't pinpoint the exact moment, but something switched inside of me where I wanted to make a change. I was tired of feeling this way. I wanted to look different. I wanted to be confident in myself, probably from all of the fucking TikToks I was watching of guys with girlfriends and me not having one. And everything changed pretty dramatically. I got obsessed with training, with going to the gym, and just even like the smallest bit of results I'd see, I just got addicted to it because I was noticing these differences. And it got to the point where I would be outside working out for 4 hours straight. I will never forget this one specific moment. My uncle used to write me out workout plans, and one day I was inside of his backyard, probably around 1 p.m. The sun was beaming down, and I was literally out there for probably 3.5 to 4 hours just working out nonstop. I was drenched in sweat. I was doing push-ups, I was doing sit-ups, burpees, squats, anything you could think of. And within those couple of months, I was able to lose 40 pounds. Sooner than later, school came back around, and I started to really build this obsession with not only weight loss, but bodybuilding. I developed this piece of me that really wanted to get jacked, really wanted to look good. And throughout my entire high school experience, I actually became known as the gym guy. I would literally go into school and actually bring 6 fucking meal preps of cold ground beef, cold rice, and broccoli. And I would eat this probably around 5 to 6 times a day. At the time, I thought that was exactly what I should be doing to get jacked, to look and have like my dream physique, which didn't work out the best, but I'll get into that. And I would go to the gym every single day before school at 4 a.m. In between classes, I would be stuffing my face with this cold, disgusting meal prep. And something that did remain consistent is that I still wouldn't go to parties. Not necessarily because I was super anxious the way I looked or anything like that, but because I was so locked in that I didn't want to put myself in a position where I'd mess up my diet or I'd mess up any progression with the gym. And now looking back on it, just explaining it here to you guys, I think that was kind of that first small seed or that small spark of drive that I had to be successful, which ended up being a huge piece of who I am now. And I learned so much from that entire experience. I ultimately fell in love with self-improvement, seeing changes, seeing progression. But most importantly, I also proved to myself that if I do the work, then I can have whatever I want. I also realized that it created this little bit of a feeling of a separation. I kind of got used to seeing myself as a little bit different. Like even as I started to go out a little bit with friends and whatnot. I remember this specific moment as well. I went to the beach when I was probably around 15 years old, and everybody was there just drinking, partying, and I was eating, I'll probably be able to pull it up, this cold ass meal prep of chicken breasts with my hands. Same exact thing would happen in school. I'll notice all the time people would be asking me, why are you eating a meal prep? Like what is that? You don't want to have the school lunch? And I pretty much got desensitized to it. And just around this time is when I started to see Iman Gadzhi's videos. I started to see this lifestyle of being able to be a business owner, not having to go down the traditional path of going to college. Like you could do something different, have freedom for yourself. And although making the decision to go down that path was extremely tough, I think that's a part that made it feel easier for me, because I already felt like I was a little different. Tying back to the point that I mentioned earlier, although I was obsessed shoving these meal preps down my face thinking that I'd get super jacked or look really good, I ended up gaining a ton of my weight back. And that's a huge learning moment I had for myself. Since then, I was able to learn to accurately start tracking my actual calories. From there, I graduated high school. I actually looked completely different. I started to feel confident in myself. I started to feel like I was a good looking guy, and my confidence did kind of start to skyrocket. And as I got into online business, I actually used that trait that I had of feeling different, kind of that discipline that I developed to my advantage. And I think getting started with business as a whole felt very similar to me as the gym, as going through that journey that I did. With business, again, I found myself starting exactly as I felt before, at square one, having no idea what I was doing, seeing people around me that were living this lifestyle that I wanted. And just like with the gym, with me gaining weight and me not really knowing what I was doing, same exact thing happened to me with online business. I failed. I got in huge cycles of mental masturbation, of procrastinating, just watching a bunch of videos without doing actual real work. I started to develop this anxiety, this piece of me that I literally felt it, this small voice inside of the back of my head telling me that I knew I had to do the work, but I just couldn't do it. Like I would just get in these cycles of avoiding doing the things that would help me become successful. And I got so in my head about this, and I was just stuck with so much of this friction for probably over a year without making any real progress. But just as I did with the gym, I started to learn, I started to adapt, and I actually started to grow as well. I realized that I needed a skill set in order to build a real business and become successful. I learned how to actually rewire my brain so I wasn't addicted to cheap dopamine or the things that was taking away from my ability to do work. And that brings me to where I am right now. I just had my biggest month ever. I made $21,000 last month. But most importantly, I feel this level of confidence in myself, not only in business, this clarity that I have that I'm on the right path. I know what I want. I know what I'm striving for, but also in my personal life, in the day-to-day, the thing that I lacked the most 5 years ago when I was growing up. I feel like it just become a part of who I am. It's like I kind of like switched. I did like a complete 360 flip, and looking at the bigger picture with everything that I've been able to achieve and what I'm going to achieve down the line as well, I'm realizing that this all stemmed from these identity traits that I developed when I started going to the gym, the reason why I even started going to the gym. So although growing up and being seen, or viewing myself at least, as the fat kid completely fucked up my youth with causing me to miss out on tons of things, tons of experiences, but essentially it was exactly what caused me to change my entire life. It helped me achieve a level of freedom. And for you, maybe these struggles that you've went through, maybe there's struggles that you're going through right now, you can use these to build success. Whatever that looks like for you, you can use them to your advantage. You could use them to build a new version of yourself. So I hope you're able to learn something from my story, and we'll talk soon.